Life today.
Wow, this looks really great. Oh gosh, I've got to stop talking to myself. The Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of every month, 7:30 p.m. here in Boca Raton. De-stress, connect with intuitive abilities, laugh, learn about psychic phenomena, and get psychic messages? Psychic messages? Woo! Where's the price? Here it is. Only $25 at the door? Awesome! How do I sign up? Oh, easy. Go to HalleyElise.com. Nice. $5 off online? Oh, I've got to call the girls and tell them about the Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of the month. Great time! 7:30 p.m. Perfect. Have to remember HalleyElise.com for the Psychic Gallery.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight. This evening is the third week of the month. Well, third Monday of the month. So actually third week too. There you go. So as always, or I should say whenever possible, we do psychic readings on there. And we do have the phone lines open this evening. So if you'd like to call in for a reading, it's 888-565-1470. I'll give that number again in just a moment. Also, the holidays are just around the corner, and I always run some sort of special or, if you will, incentive during the holidays or right near the holidays. And I can't even believe Hanukkah starts like the beginning of December. How'd that happen? Always like it when it's closer to Christmas. It just works out better. Anyways, if you are interested in getting somebody a gift that's a little different, a psychic reading is really a great gift, and you could get it for them anywhere in the world because I do work over the phone. Now, normally a phone session is $225 for the holidays, and I haven't debated yet. Actually, I've been debating, it's one of those nights too, as to what is the best date to have a cutoff. Haven't really decided yet, so you may want to take advantage of this quickly, because I was talking with someone who helps me do marketing earlier today, and we were talking about, what we could do and stimulating interest and also helping people at the same time. So normally the phone session is $225. I'm going to take $50 off. If you have an interest in getting yourself a reading, buying yourself a nice little gift, or perhaps someone else, it's a nice way to do it. All you have to do is contact me, and I'll invoice you, and I can send you a gift certificate to send out. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. If you've not seen the website, now would be a good chance. You could take a look at other services and other things that are offered. And, of course, there are archives of this show. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, it's HalleyElise.com. Also, as a reminder, if you're thinking, oh, God, I missed it again, because you're watching the archive of this evening, but you do it this evening, tomorrow morning on WBZT, I'm the in-house psychic over there with the Steve O and Renee show. So you can give a call in the morning and also get a reading there. So see, there's all sorts of ways and means for you to get your psychic information. The best way, really and truly, not to put myself out of business, but the best way is for you to listen to yourself. And I do also have an apprenticeship program, which helps you fine-tune and hone your own skill set. So if you've always felt like, well, I kind of know stuff, but I don't know how to really bring it in, or I think about something and it just happens, or I have a dream and it happens, this might be the perfect opportunity for you. And also that's on the website if you want to take a look. Actually, I was thinking I may just have the business information for the Psychic Apprenticeship Show or program. If you take a look and it's not enough information, let me know and I'll send you a broader spectrum, if you will, so that you know exactly what you're looking at. And let's see what else here. As always, except for this past month because I was out of town, the Psychic Gallery is the first Monday of the month. So that is December 7th, which is, again, a Monday. And if you're wondering, well, how is it that you can be at the radio station and on the web TV and at the Psychic Gallery at the same time? Of course, magic. Well, that and a little help from the producer and electronics and all that good stuff we have today. But first Monday of the month, that is over at my building inside the greenhouse offices, and that's Monday the 7th, and it begins at 7:30 p.m. So 6:30 for the Halley, Elise show, 7:30 for the Psychic Gallery, 8:15 for the morning show. Oh my gosh, we're just all over the place. So let me give out the phone number again if you wanted to call in for a reading this evening. It's 888-565-1470. Now, periodically, I tell you a little bit about guests in advance. One of the people that I was chatting with today, and I had the opportunity to meet in person when I was out in Vegas last week for the Mastermind Conference, is a wonderful woman by the name of Christiana. And I'm going to have her on the show maybe 3 weeks or so from now. It could be a little bit longer. We're trying to get our schedules together. But you will love her. She has this amazing ability to extrapolate information from your words, actually tapping into your mind, and puts it into a map, almost as if she's a little kid playing with colors and words. And she creates this wonderful plan for you to take a look at to enhance your world. And it's in a myriad of ways. You can use it for business. You can use it for personal. You can use it for a particular project that you're working on. You will find her a delight when she's on. And I've mentioned, I think last week, the week before, I have quite a few different guests that'll be coming on over the course of the next couple of months here, and you will really enjoy, because as best as I can, I try to get people that are leaders in their field, people that really have, if you will, a pulse on ways to help you improve your world. And it's not just limited to the psychic arena. It is spirituality. It is holistic. It is metaphysical. And I'm going to share something that's kind of cute. A friend of mine does a lot of work on the radio and also in person. And he always gets these phone calls about house clearing and about house blessing. And they seem to come to me. He called me the other day and said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Sure." For me, it's always a challenge to walk into an environment and see what is it that's been conjured up. And there's a difference. This is not, if you will, having a priest come in and scare away the bad guys. That's not it. Oftentimes, it's more a matter of somebody has so much, if you will, chaotic energy and sometimes negative energy in a space that it begins to actually affect the space. So I can go in and clear that space and bless it so that good things happen. One of the folks that I know I worked with last year, she'd been trying to sell her home. She had a beautiful multi-million-dollar home here in Boca Raton, and they had it on the market for, I think, 5 years, maybe 6 years. And she finally called. She says, "Okay, I'm going to bite the bullet, come out and do the house for us." So I did. I went out and took out care of the house, and within 2 months they sold it, which was kind of nice since it had been on the market for a long time. Someone else I had worked with had me come in and do the same thing, and they were looking to make changes in their family. They were looking to make changes in the work environment, and again, within a very short period of time, things came to fruition. So if you don't know how to clear your own space, balance it, create harmony, create that blessing that comes within and actually spreads outward to the world and your world, you can give me a call. The other thing I want to mention, because I've had several people tell me at events that they didn't know I did keynotes, and I believe I mentioned last week as well. So if you have an interest in a keynote speaker, the information can be tailored to your event. There are 3 main topics I work from, but give a holler and I'll be happy to share that information, as well as video clips or what else do I have? Testimonials, et cetera, et cetera. Always fun to do that too, to get to know new people. Always enjoy when I'm called into, we'll say, what appears to be a very linear, very analytical, strict environment. And all of a sudden we start talking about things that are a bit abstract, a bit more creative, a bit metaphysical, if you will. And people in the audience, their eyes get a little bigger. But it's not because of being shocked. It's because of recognition. So often individuals connect with things in their environment in ways that they can't really give words to. It's as if there is just this knowing, a sentience or a cognizance that they haven't been able to identify. And then someone like me walks in and says, oh, this is what this is. And all of a sudden there's an excitement there because now they can go home and they can connect with it better. So that's kind of fun. Also, there's a lot of healing that takes place. Whenever you open yourself up to your own gifts, your own abilities, magic happens. It truly does. And I often use the word magic, on occasion mysticism, because I believe we really live in a very magical, mystical world with all the idiocy going on, such as what we just heard with what took place in France, which is horrific. There's still magic. There are people coming out of the woodwork who are giving prayer, who are seeing things shift in the world, who want to be there and help. If you really tap into your own abilities, you find that a true nature of the human being is to be helpful, is to be kind, is to nurture, is to bring forth something greater. So even though there's tragedy and there's awful things that take place, there is great opportunity there for you as an individual, for us as a people, to move into a higher vibration, to be able to evolve in a way that not only grows ourselves, but also grows the planet. The fear about the planet imploding, it's just that. It's a fear. It is a false expectation appearing real. That's one of the acronyms. There's so many for the word fear, but really and truly, if you take a look at what's out there, are there bad people? Of course. Do bad people also have intuitive ability? Yes, they do. Are all of them awful? No. Sometimes people are just led down the wrong path. And I'll liken it to when someone is perhaps a teenager and their friends say, hey, try these drugs and let's try these drugs and let's get into this and let's get into that. And they do things. That doesn't automatically make them a bad person. And if you're thinking, well, how can there be a corollary or even likened to that because there is such a massive difference? There's not a difference when you come to the human psyche. So often we don't listen to that inner voice. And this is where there is such a, if you will, significance. If you, as an individual, know what your path is and you are clear because you listen to that higher guidance all the time, you tap into that heart opening, then no matter what somebody says to you, no matter what might seem logical, if it doesn't feel right, you're not going to adhere to it. You're not going to be a part of it. You will find a way to leave the situation, the circumstance, the group of people. The people that are involved with what took place in France, the people that are involved with leading other people astray. And I truly mean that in the sense of not because they push them or they force them or they challenge the wellness of the family, but because they led them astray because that individual wasn't able to listen to that own knowing, that true inner knowing that's divine. That's where they're led astray. If you're aware of that, it can't happen. It can't happen. And it's interesting because so often we think of it in minute terms, such as, okay, I'm going down the street and something says, stop and get a cup of coffee. And you're thinking, well, what did I want to get a cup of coffee for? I've got coffee at the office. I don't really need to do it right now. But it's kind of disturbing you. You're feeling it like, go get the coffee, go get the coffee, go get the coffee. So you say, okay, there's the gas station. I'm going to stop. I'll get a cup of coffee. And you walk in the door and you run into somebody that you haven't seen in 20 years. And had you not walked in that door to get that coffee in that moment, you would have not seen them. The point to all of this, listening makes a difference. You don't always have to know the reason why. It's more a matter of paying attention to it, truly doing things even when it seems wrong, even when, by all intents, logical purposes, it doesn't seem right. Do it. If that gut feeling, that inner knowing from your heart is experiencing some sort of pang, or there's such a strong push of a voice going over in your head, pay attention. Because in that moment, you are listening to what is important for you, what is important for your environment, what is important with what is the next step in your world. And I go back to these people who are making horrible choices and harming other people. There's no rhyme or reason there. You get one fanatic who leads them, and the others who don't have enough impetus to pay attention to their own knowing follow. So when these horrible things happen, instead of saying, oh my God, that's awful, and these awful people around, and the world's a horrible place to live in, instead of that, step back for a moment and say, okay, For the people that experience loss, I'm going to give up prayer, and I'm going to ask that they are looked after and taken care of to the best of their ability. And for the rest of the people that are creating the chaos, what I'm going to hope for, what I'm going to ask for, what I'm going to pray for, what I'm going to envision is that awareness comes, that what they're doing is wrong. And you may think that's too simple, or you may think, doesn't make a difference. It really does. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with the Halley Elise Show. Thank you.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening. If you're just tuning in, I was talking about something a little bit heavier before the break about what took place in France and how we perceive things and how we interact with them and how we can actually do something. We often feel so ill at ease that we don't realize that transforming our thoughts, transforming our feelings can actually make a difference. You know, there's a reason that when there are masses of people that change happens. It's not always a physical movement. Oftentimes it's an energy. Oftentimes it's a thought, because it's all interconnected. You hear me say quite a bit about mind, body, spirit, and, you know, the whole yoga idea, and this is your vessel. Well, the vessel is not simply the physical essence or the, if you will, structure. It is everything that goes with it. There is a cellular memory. There is a knowing. There is a activeness and a, if you will, a power that emanates from within. And that's connected to all of creation. It's connected to not just yourself and the people in your world and the planet, but it's connected to everything even beyond this moment. It's connected to multitudes of universes. It's connected to anything you can imagine that is beyond the imagination. How do you like that one for a thought? Anything you can imagine that is beyond the imagination. This is how things are created into being. So if we have the ability to create and bring forth beautiful things, if we have the ability to bring forth and create, if you will, magic when it comes to the medical world, and I often lean more towards the holistic or complementary, but really and truly, think about a CAT scan. How did somebody come up with that? Think about moldy bread, penicillin. How did that come about? It was with a particular mindset. So if we shift our mindset and we get into a place of seeing things change, they will actually change. Okay, I'm going to complete on that and go to the fact that this evening you can call in and you can get a psychic reading. It's 888-565-1470. If you haven't called into the show before, this is a great opportunity. What I think is really funny is I do this, and often we have a lot of calls and often we don't. There's like no rhyme or reason how things operate. But what usually happens if I don't get calls is I get a whole bunch of emails afterwards. Darn, I didn't realize it was tonight. So if you forget, just remember the third Monday of the month on the Halley Elise Show, you can call in and get a reading. Now, I was sharing with my producer before we went on. I was very excited. I had posted something about this evening's show, and I think I posted something about tomorrow's show as well, and made mention that people can call in and get a reading. And somebody wrote down amazing. And I said, oh, did you call in last week? Thank you. And the person responded, no, I came to the office. Now, if you're thinking, well, how did I not know the person's name? In my own defense here, I see quite a few people and I speak to people all over the world, and my days are pretty packed with one thing or another. But not only that, a lot of times on Facebook, people don't use their real name. Like you might have somebody who says True Blue or, Flower and Sunshine is their name. So the person wrote down her name and I just said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize the name. But I thought, how nice is that? She had her first experience and she thought it was amazing. That's really nice. And I, a lot of times, get these wonderful notes from people that just make me smile. Because in as much as we all want to make a living, we all want to be happy in what we do, it's also wonderful to be able to share with other people and bring joy to them or assist them in a way that makes their life easier or helps them grow. I'm all about growing lately. It's really interesting. Years ago, it was all about birthing. And I only have one child, thankfully. But it was about birthing ideas, bringing something bigger, newer into this world. These days, it's about growing. It's about where are you in your world and where do you want to be? And instead of there being boundaries, you look in terms of if anything was possible, what would that look like? Last week, I shared about different ideas where you could make changes in your life and make a difference and grow yourself. With your intuition, with that knowing, with that, if you will, mother's instinct or gut feeling, whatever term you want to use, ESP for extrasensory perception, which really was one of the originating terms that was used, it all comes from the same place. It's divine. I had someone call me today who's very religious and said to me, this goes against everything I believe in, and I really shouldn't do this. And I kind of smiled because if you look at the Bible, you will find references to psychicism, to intuitive ability, to paying attention, or for, if you will, metaphysics, mystical things. The burning bush, for instance, speaking. Now, how often do you see that on a daily basis? I mean, really think about this. So if you are going by the content of a biblical text, then you may also want to go by the fact that magic and mystical things happen all the time. God and the universe are here to provide for us as we are them. And the reason I say it that way is because I really believe that as human beings, we have the ability to express ourselves so that the universe expands, so that God, Him, herself, expands. There are different feelings and experiences that each person goes through that are not identical to the next person. So each time somebody experiences something, again, there's growth. So if you want to grow yourself, you want to be able to really know what's true, start asking. And that may sound like really too simple, but truthfully, all you have to do is ask. Before you go to bed at night, sit on the edge of your bed and say, please let me tap into my own knowing, or please let me tap into my intuitive ability, or please let me connect with my psychic awareness. Any of those sentences, those affirmations, will start to, if you will, ignite and turn on your ability. And if it seems too simple, why does it have to be complicated? I like simple. Truly, you could do a massive program that's very intense that you go to for months and you continue to study. And I actually have programs like that I work with, and they're beautiful. And you really get into all of the nuances of things and understand on very grand levels. But if you're just simply trying or desiring to tap into your own knowing, why make it difficult? Make it easy. You've heard me say before, do little games with yourself. If you're sitting at a red light and there's a red car and a white car and a blue car, ask yourself, which one of those cars is going first? See what happens. If you're right in your head, do a little happy dance. Yay, I knew that. I'm psychic. Sounds silly, but you'd be amazed at how you start to change things. Every single time, something you think of, something you feel about, something you had an inkling of comes to fruition, do the little happy dance in your head. And if it doesn't come to fruition, say, oh, that's okay. I'll get it next time. Because what you're doing is you're programming your mind, so that part of you that is knowing, analytical, linear, that you have a capacity that can be used. And you're also programming your mind, the part of you that is abstract, that reaches into the unknown, to listen, to accept, to allow. And when it comes to religious background, I'm not suggesting that you go against anything you truly believe in, but I am suggesting that you really examine the text, really understand what's there, so that if you have an opinion about something, it's true for you. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You have to answer to yourself. So it's much easier than we often think. We make things way too complicated. I have a ball when somebody plans on doing something and I get an image in my head of what that looks like, or I kind of hear it and I know where it is I'm going or what's happening, and I don't say anything. And then I go and the person says, oh, look, this is what we're doing. Or the group says, this is what we're doing. And in my head, I do the little happy dance. Yay, I knew that. It sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But it's effective. You know it's really effective too? If you are a parent or you're a teacher or you are a facilitator, it's really wonderful to be able to read the room or read the person. And what I mean by that is not that you're delving into all of their intimate details, but that you have a knowing about what's going to work for them. You have a knowing about how to communicate with them. You have a knowing about how effective you're going to be. That's an amazing tool to use in everyday life as well as in business. I mean, really give some thought to this. If you have a business meeting and you want to present something and you've been putting your material together and it's all in order, but you're nervous, you're ambiguous about what is this going to look like and how is it going to be received, and am I going to get a raise, or can I go to that next step in the company? If you sat back after you designed whatever it was and you had a foundation to work with, and then you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to get quiet. I'm just going to go and I'm going to envision what does that meeting look like. And I'm not going to have any predisposed ideas or feelings or concepts. I'm not going to emote. I'm just going to sit still and allow whatever images or sensations come to me. And then you did. And let's say that what came through seemed totally off the wall, such as Mr. Smith would never stand up and say, good job. But for some reason in that moment when you were imagining it, when you were open to creation, open to listening, you saw Mr. Smith. What's the worst thing that could happen? You could be wrong. But what if you're right? And what if you go into your meeting and you start to present and Mr. Smith, in fact, who never compliments everybody or anybody, gets up and says, good job? Wouldn't it be nice to have some sort of portent of what's to come? You can not only create, but you can discreate or uncreate. And what I mean by that is, if there's something going on in your world and it's uncomfortable, it doesn't matter what it is. Let's say there's people, I'll use work because it's a general and it's easy. But let's say you have people that you're dealing with that you really can't stand. Start seeing them be nice to you. Seriously, get it in your mind's eye. That's all for this evening, folks. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I thank you for tuning in. Good night.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in.